Hello, can you present yourself to our followers?
Yeah, sure. So, hi folks, my name's Spencer Harbar. I'm basically from Edinburgh in the United Kingdom. I work predominantly as a SharePoint architect historically over probably the last 16, 17 years in that space. And spend a lot of time working on kind of a variety of different things, but mainly in the architecture space, so helping customers plan and deploy generally large-scale SharePoint infrastructure and supporting things around that, so Active Directory, SQL Server, etc.
So you have your own company or you are working?
Yeah, I have my own company. I also quite often will work on behalf of consulting organisations as well, on perhaps the larger.
So you are speaker at SPC Adriatics and a lot of other conferences, I think. What are your main topics usually?
Yeah, I mean this event I'm talking predominantly about the SharePoint 2016 from an on-premise perspective, talking about the min role capability. Traditionally, it's the infrastructure is what I tend to be known for, if you will, in terms of what I present at conferences. I mean, that's not my background, but I'm kind of sort of in the IT pro space, usually talking about identity management, file topology, those kind of topics.
We can find a lot of your session on Channel 9.
Yeah,
like that.
Bigger events, yeah.
Any SharePoint consultant deserving this name, I would say, should at least have been to your blog. And how do you compare doing a live session versus writing a detailed blog post?
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of kind of overlap in some cases. It does very much sort of vary based on a topic. Obviously, the live in-person event is a great way to connect with people. It also gives you as the kind of the speaker feedback, whether how you feel about things. It reflects what everybody else does, and you get to obviously meet people from different parts of the world with different kind of scale of projects and things like that. Whereas the writing is certainly some of the kind of the more detailed blogs that I've done. Obviously, takes a significant amount of more effort. I'm quite conscious now that if it's something that's potentially widely read or widely followed, that a lot of work needs to go into get it tested. So I make sure other people kind of proof it and run the scripts and things like that first.
This is great responsibility.
Yeah, it's one of those things in the community where early days and nobody knows who you are, whatever. You can kind of be a bit more sort of unconcerned about that, but as things grow, you do want to take, need to take responsibility, especially if you're giving guidance, and that might include, going back later and updating it as the product changes, or lessons are learned. Obviously, the speaking at conferences, you're very limited in terms of time, and there's some topics very difficult to do in an hour or a similar type session, especially some of the more interesting aspects of SharePoint, if you will, So yeah, I mean, it's a good mix, but certainly the writing takes a lot more effort, and perhaps has more long-term effect. Especially when it's guidance in the SharePoint space, particularly in recent times. There isn't a great deal of quality guidance being published on a regular basis. A lot of things are quite well known, and so it's very important to try and get the right advice out there. Basically help others who are perhaps newer to things.
Yes, for example, yes, I totally agree. For example, I still refer to your old article on, for example, how to do availability with central admin and things like that. Even if it's old, it's always accurate and still usable. So my next question is, what is the next step for you? How do you see the future of SharePoint enhancement impact, especially for on-premises customers?
Yeah, so it's an interesting event, the San Francisco kind of show and tell from the product group, and quite interesting from my perspective in terms of it demonstrated a renewal of the commitment to the product. Obviously the event was predominantly pushing the cloud service offering. That was to be expected, but there was actually more kind of focus on, the commitment to on-premises customers, which I think was, widely appreciated and much needed, because naturally the journey to the cloud is a long haul. It's not something that's going to happen in a few years, and it's quite interesting that sort of the move from web-based technology on premises to the cloud is very similar from the change from client server to web technology, around the turn of the century, and you see a lot of the same things happening. And so I think obviously Microsoft's are driven by the imperative to sell what's next. Not everybody else has the luxury of being able to do that, and so I think it's good to see that. And also we've been, seen with the approach to the release of SharePoint 2016 that it's actually taking lessons from their experience of running SharePoint at a very big scale, and baking those improvements back into the on-premise product. In some cases that means we can do less, but we can do it cheaper, easier, faster, better, and so it's good to see the continued commitment to that ideal and that model going forward. So it's going to be interesting times over the next sort of 2 or 3 years. Certainly from my point of view, most of my main customers, the large organisations, are very keen on the cloud, but they are large organisations. It's like moving an oil tanker. It takes quite a few miles before that thing starts turning, and so it's very much kind of a stepping approach. Make the baby steps in terms of identity, and then hybrid, and perhaps over time move more workloads to the cloud. So that's really from personal kind of selfish perspective. That's my future, if you will, is to continue to get more involved in the hybrid deployment scenarios that most of my customers are interested in.
Do you see a real value for hybrid deployment for big customers?
Yeah, I mean, a good, perhaps the best example where it makes total sense would be something like the OneDrive for Business or the My Sites capability. If you're an organisation with, say, 200,000 users, the value of that proposition to the end user, the personal space, etc., is very large, but the cost of operating it is ridiculous. And certainly, even just simple things, or what we consider to be simple things like storage and information management, is far easier to kind of push that workload to the cloud, but maybe keep your line of business data and your records management, those kind of solutions on premise for regulatory reasons or border control, those kind of imperatives. But certainly things like the more consumer side of SharePoint, if you will, works much better in the cloud from an operational perspective. And also, you get the benefit of any new capabilities that come in are obviously going to be coming in, very quickly in the cloud service, where on premises, it's effectively the same MySite that we've had for many years. And the larger the organisation, the bigger the benefit of moving those types of workload to the cloud and making effectively the operations of it somebody else's problem.
And what about the feature packs, the add-ons? Do you think it would be a good thing to have it? Or?
Yeah, it's very enthusiastic about it. Like many things, we need the proof is in the pudding. We need to wait for a couple of them to land, and we see what's happening. How whether the reality matches up to the kind of the marketing spin, if you will. But certainly, it's the right approach to both in terms of adding additional kind of infrastructure type components. In other words, make it continually easier to manage farms and those kind of things, but also hopefully to introduce feature enhancements, rather than having to wait 3 years. And the name is, the feature pack name, whatever they call it, they'll get criticism from one side or another. People have got a little bit too kind of focused on that. It's really kind of just a mechanism to enable, new features more quickly. And that's also one of the benefits of 2016 is the small changes with big impact that they've made to enable us to patch much more easily is one of the things that enables them to deliver that feature pack as well. So looking forward to seeing them, and looking forward to seeing how Microsoft has or SharePoint specifically has changed its approach in terms of kind of back to the event in some respects, where the feature pack is their opportunity to demonstrate just how much they're listening to what we put on voice, user voice and things like that. And so that's a very positive change in direction, from my point of view.
Okay. I have also some questions about minerals, but I know you have a session in a few minutes, so I will keep them for the session.
Okay, no worries.
And so, thank you very much. And if you want to come, or if you are able to come at our event on the French part of ROS community, or even Canada, or you are welcome. And so let us know.
Yeah.
We can manage that.
Perfect. Yeah, I'd love to spend more time in France, particularly, especially this time of year when there's a small tennis tournament happening.
In Roland Garros.
Yeah. So yeah, we'd love to attend it. Really, it's just making the dates work. But yeah, otherwise, I'm more than happy to visit and hopefully meet more people in person.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much.
No problem. Nice speaking to you. Cheers.